as Ralph very eloquently pointed out, there are processes in motion that are real and measurable, that show beyond a shadow of any controversy that we are living in times such as have never been known before. The dissolution of the ozone in the atmosphere, the clearing of the Amazon, the pandemic spread of diseases and information, the complete globalizing of the whole human family so that we essentially do live in a global village. What happens in Bangladesh and Argentina and Anchorage is all reported everywhere in the same day. The kind of ecotastrophes that Ralph mentioned, the AIDS epidemic is one of these. The AIDS epidemic, like the spread of nuclear weapons, another epidemic, have been a wonderful stimulus to sober thought about our condition. And, I believe that the Chernobyl disaster in the Soviet Union was really what turned the Kremlin leadership toward rethinking their foreign policy, because the explosion of a single power plant was like dropping a drop of ink in a glass of water and watching the entire glass of water turn slightly gray. And we're talking about the atmosphere of the only planet suitable for human life that we know of. And people just said, my God, when 3 Mile Island nearly melted down, if it had melted down and the federal capital of the United States of America had to be relocated 100 miles to the south, this would be a more ecology-conscious nation today. I mean, we got through by the skin of our teeth. But the image that I think is large enough to contain the violence and the desperation of the situation and still offer some hope is the image of birth. That we are somehow the children of the planet. We are somehow its finest hour. And this may grate on some people as anthropocentrism, but I actually espouse a certain kind of modified anthropocentrism, because I don't think we're like fruit flies and giraffes and even, God save us, dolphins and chimpanzees. There is something different about this species. The evolutionary biologists say what it is that we have maintained, we are omni-adaptive. The strategy of other animal species is to define a niche, a tight set of conditions, and then to perfectly occupy that niche. We don't do that. What we do is we redefine niches. We remake things so that we can go there. We dress ourselves so that we can inhabit the Arctic. We invent fire so that we can keep it with us, so forth and so on. We are some kind of experiment that nature is indulging herself in, an experiment with the efficacy of epigenetic codes. Previously, the coding system that has been ubiquitous throughout nature has been the evolutionary code of the nucleotides that form the codons of DNA, that code for the structure of proteins that then compete in a kind of structural environment of adaptability. But the epigenetic information that we carry through song, through writing, through dance, storytelling, and electronic media is a whole different ball game. We do not forget. We bind time. We bind the past. We anticipate the future. We are going hyperspatial. We are claiming a whole new dimension for biology that it never claimed before. Always before, biology has operated within the confines of the immediate moment. But with the invention of writing and mnemonic skills, and still more so with the proliferation of electronic media, we are actually becoming a fourth-dimensional kind of creature. Our past lives. Our future is somehow with us. And you'll recall early on I said that the shaman journeys through time. The shaman is the paradigmatic figure for the future state of all humanity. What is happening is a birth process. And in the same way that a fetus and its maternal matrix eventually must be parted, or else toxemia sets in and threatens the life of the mother and the infant, in that same way, we seem to have been groomed for metamorphosis into our own imaginations. This is where we are going, and this is what our peculiar cerebral self-reflective property is about. Now, history is a wink of God's eye. 25,000 years maximum, a geological instant, which begins with people chipping stone flint and which ends with people walking through a violet doorway into, what? Galactic citizenship. A super civilization spread throughout space and time and through levels and continui that we can barely conceive of or imagine. I mean, we are like Paleolithic man staring dumbly into his campfire and seeing there the shimmering towers of Babylon and Memphis and Athens and Rome and New York and saying, you know, what is it? What is it? What is it? It seems so important, it looks so familiar, and yet it's utterly incomprehensible. Our future is our mystery. Our destiny is to live in the imagination, and the historical process that we're going through is not, I think, cause for despair, but it is a major transition point in the life of the entire planet. And I would like to think that 1,000 years from now, the planet will be empty of human life. That, you know, the forests will be creeping out into the grasslands. The animal populations will be stabilized. The sequestering of heavy metals will have been completed. And the planet, like a woman who has just given birth to an 11-pound baby, will just breathe an enormous sigh of relief. And we, following our shamanic inclinations, following the self-transcending image of shamanic flight that leads us to build space shuttles and starships and L5 colonies, we will have followed our imagination into the unimaginable vistas of artistic creation that are our true destiny and home. And we are now in transition, the most difficult part of any birth process. Blood is being shed, there's screaming and groveling and waves of tension sweeping through the planet, sweeping through the human population, but it is an anticipation of a higher, wider, freer, kinder kind of being that we have always held up as an ideal for ourselves with the notion of the shaman, the superman or woman who knows the secrets of the animals, moves with the subtlety of the wind, is always capable of appropriate behavior, is at home everywhere, and leaves no mark. It's our aspiration. It's our guiding image. What we need to do, I think, is articulate.
Leaves works of art.
Yes, it sheds works of art.
Leaves records.
We excrete ideas. We leave a contrail of artifacts as we move through time. And they're rotting in the jungles of Belize and Guatemala. They're parched on the sands of Egypt and Iran. And there are more artifacts ahead of us. An endless shedding of our architectonic and imaginary dreams as we move toward the quintessence, which is the self, which is this transcendent object at the end of time that has cast this vast shadow over our dreams, our poetry, our aspirations, our art, our self-image. And we can each know this here and now. The psychedelics put you in on the joke. You no longer are caught in the unfolding drama. You have seen the end. You have acted as a go-between. You have discovered the way in which the world actually works.